I don't know where you are, CJ. I'm in a little town of Berlin, Connecticut, and we were supposed to get a dusting today. And all of a sudden, it decided to come down. We got closer to about 2.5, 3 inches.
Hey, everyone. I just wanted to do a quick follow-up video on my Grundig Satellite 800 Millennium. You know, after the last video that I did, I actually received a couple of direct messages on YouTube. People asking me what I thought of this radio and if I could maybe show it some more. Well, I've moved this radio back to the front of my setup in a little easier place to access. And I gotta be honest, after owning this radio now for 5 or 6 months, this is the radio that I can't get myself to wrap my arms around this radio and love it. Yet I cannot find things about it that really drive me crazy. So, you know, I'd say it's a good radio. It's not a great radio. And a few folks jumped all over me on one of the online forums saying that I should love this radio. I just don't. And that's not to say that I hate it. If you recall in my last video, the first time that I've been on the YouTube screen, I had mentioned the fact that everything is not black and white, that there's some room for some gray area, and I think that's one thing that emotional intelligence will empower you with, is not to be very all or nothing or black and white, or you know, one or the other. I think there's room for kind of having that in between kind of philosophy, where something, you can like something but not necessarily be in love with it. I'll start off with some of the features on this radio that I do love, and one is the sound quality. You know, you've got this huge giant box, which to call this radio portable would really be a misnomer. I would say it's a porta-top, that it's a radio that you can bring portable. Now, you load this thing up with D cells and you carry it out in the field, you're in for a hell of a workout. You know, I'm a good sized guy. I'm pretty strong, and you know, I have lugged this thing around out in the field. It's not something that I'd like to lug around for long periods of time. It's a beast. It's about the same size as my Helicrafter's S40. So, you know, imagine lugging around an S40 with you for long stretches of a time. And that will give you about a rough size comparison, something comparable. My ICOM R71 is maybe half the size of this. The Kenwood R2000 is maybe 60 to 70% of this size. And you've got a lot of what I would call wasted space. You've got this giant display here, which might be great for some folks who maybe are visually impaired. You've got very easy to read function displays for your automatic gain control, the speed, if you're in upper or lower sideband or AM. If you've got your sync detection tuned in, and I'm going to go into my thoughts, some of my thoughts about sync detection. But you've got beautiful, easy to access, easy to set bass and treble adjustments, and also for the air bands, a squelch function, which works in VHF. You've got a nice choice of 3 bandwidths, 2.3, 4, and 6 kilohertz. Of course, you've got a attenuator, which you can engage and disengage, automatic gain control, which you can change either slow or fast. Sync detection, I just don't see what all the hype is about with sync detection. It works in certain circumstances. It's not a magic bullet for AM or shortwave reception. And in some cases, it can actually degrade the sound quality. Where it works, that ambiguous catch-all phrase, selective fading. Now, I have yet to receive a good definition of selective fading. It's too vague, it's too ambiguous, and other folks have said, well, if you have 2 adjacent signals, it helps by accessing to one side of the carrier, either upper or lower. Guys, this is considered one of the best sync detectors ever put in the radio. And if this is the best, I hate to see the worst, because honestly, I think it sucks. And, you know, there are certain circumstances, for example, doing some AM DXing where that's been helpful. But, you know, I've read some postings where some folks leave it in AM sync all the time. That's not smart. I would not use the sync detector as a full-time AM detector. I think you're missing the boat if you do that. So, what else can I say? The single sideband tuning is very good. It really allows you, and I'll turn the volume back up here.
That sort of stuff. But that's about as complex as I want to go with it.
Gives you some really nice audio in sideband. I don't notice that much in AM. And in sync detection, I don't notice that big of a difference between 4 and 6 kilohertz. So I usually use, well, in sideband, I usually use 4 kilohertz. I'll narrow it to 2.3 sometimes if conditions are crowded. Usually for AM and shortwave, I use 6 kilohertz. If I kick it down to 4, I don't notice that much of a difference. And if I bring it all the way down to 2.3 kilohertz, it's just too narrow for AM. FM reception and airband reception is very good. It's very good. What else can I say? VFO works great. The memories, you know, when you get into this high number of memories, I mean, honest to gosh, for shortwave listening, the way the bands are today, it's not that useful. Most of my memories are set for AM and for FM, with a select few for shortwave and maybe a couple of airband channels. If you're plugged in to the wall wart, you can leave your lamp on. I like the look of it with the lamp on. You have a somewhat annoying beep that you can turn on or off. You can scan, which is, you know, again, it's a limited utility. If you're up in the airband, maybe it's helpful. Timer I haven't used. So my big complaint with the radio itself is battery reception. It's deplorable. And not the reception itself, because the reception with batteries put in is very good. As soon as you put those batteries in, about 5 minutes later, you're going to see a blinking battery lamp indicator somewhere around here. The thing is a battery hog, and whoever even decided to make this a battery-powered radio, I think they were probably out of their mind, or maybe they were smoking something that day on the drawing board and said, you know, let's get a laugh on customers of this radio, and let's throw in a battery compartment. It's a joke. It's a complete joke. And for when I say short-term listening, I'm guessing you're going to go maybe a half hour before that battery light starts blinking, and it's just going to flash relentlessly. So I guess I would say, you know, be very sparing with your battery use. It's going to chew through them like a hot knife through butter. You're just going to cook batteries. Nice options on the back for external antennas. A very long rod antenna, which is collapsed right up here. The build quality is excellent of this radio. It's a very sturdy plastic box. Now, I'm going to dispel an online myth here. This radio was not built by the Drake company. It's not a Drake radio with Grundig badging. What it is, this part of the circuit, your display and your functions, are part of one module, which was also used in the Drake SW8. The Drake SW8 was built in America. This satellite 800 Millennium was built by Texan in China. So if you think you're getting a Drake radio for hundreds of dollars less, sorry to rain on your parade. It's simply not true. What else can I say? S-meter is very good. It's an old school analog S-meter. And one advantage of this radio over the Drake is the SW8 uses part of the LED to display a signal strength meter. If you prefer an old school analog meter, this is the radio for you. So, headphone jack. The headphone jack, when you plug in a pair of stereo headphones or maybe a pair of Bose powered roommate speakers, you've got stereo for FM, so you're good there. You know, just to conclude, I didn't pay a whole heck of a lot of money for this radio. I did get it at a thrift store. I wouldn't pay eBay prices. They're crazy money, and it's not that good of a radio to pay eBay dollars. See if you can find one local. Maybe talk to some ham or shortwave radio listeners who are in the area, and see if you can find one fairly inexpensive. I just wouldn't buy one on eBay unless you absolutely have to have this thing. I don't think it's a must-have radio. Just to conclude, I like it, I don't love it, and make sure you get one that comes with the original AC power supply, the wall wart. There's a gentleman on YouTube who, he must have done 20 videos showing different power supplies plugged into this radio. Just do it right and find an original one. Don't try to Mickey Mouse it. Don't try to cheap out. Otherwise you'll be very disappointed. If you try to power this thing from an alternative AC source, you're going to get all kinds of noise and you're just not going to be happy with the radio. Try to find one that comes with the original wall wart. So that's it on the Grundig Satellite 800. I'm going to keep the radio. I might flip it sometime later this year. I like it. I just don't love it. So hope you enjoyed this video, and happy New Year going into 2018, and hope to talk to you again soon. Take care for now.